What's up guys, this is Tristan here. Today I'm going to be showing you a super cool Volkswagen Seat or Škoda stereo that you can install to your car for under $300 that adds Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I do apologize that this video is a bit longer than usual, but I'm trying to get a bunch of information into one video and there's a lot of information to cover. If you have done your research, I provided timestamps so you can skip ahead to a certain part of the video. However, if you haven't done your research, I highly recommend you do so as it's super helpful and super easy to understand. So don't worry, once we get through this entire video, you will know everything there is to know about installing the stereo to your car. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. In 2015, Volkswagen launched their MIB infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for the first time, adding lots of value and functionality to their newer models at the time. This system was mainly meant for the newer MQB platform vehicles. They did, however, make units for the older PQ platform, but they still had the pinouts of the MQB platform. I initially wanted to put one of the MIB PQ units in my car, but it would have cost over $1,500 to do it right. Not to mention the amount of work and coding that would go into retrofitting it. However, I discovered another, way cheaper unit that takes only about 10 minutes to install, and it keeps the pinouts from the PQ cars, provided you lose multi-touch, a CD player, satellite radio, and navigation. For me, that's not a big worry, considering it's a fraction of the cost. Enter the Composition Touch, better known as the RCD-330, is a factory Volkswagen stereo for the Chinese, Indian, and Latin American markets, as well as a few others, mainly for the Polo and Vento Mark V vehicles still being made over there. Most models offer Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth pairing for several devices at once, an aux port, a USB port, and an SD card slot, all packed into a 6.5-inch touchscreen. The best part is that the radio is extremely affordable too. Being priced under $300 on sites such as eBay and Aliexpress, it is a very worthy upgrade over the original stereo that your car came with. Just a side note for Seat owners looking to install this unit, there is currently no Seat dedicated version, but the only drawback is that you'll get a Volkswagen logo in Apple CarPlay and on the welcome screen. The Composition Touch is compatible with any Volkswagen, Seat, or Škoda from 2004 to 2015 that has the Premium 7 radio, the RNS-315, RNS-510, the RCD-310, RCD-510, any radio fitting this shape. To make things easier, I have compiled two charts of compatible vehicles. This one is for vehicles mainly from 2010 to 2015 that only require a dual Facra to single Facra antenna adapter and a rear view camera adapter. These usually are packaged with the unit when you buy them from most sellers. Keep in mind, you only need the rear view camera adapter if you want to use a rear view camera. I won't explain how to install a rear view camera in today's video, but there are plenty of resources for how to do that online. Anyway, here's that list. Feel free to pause to find your vehicle. Now here's the list of mainly model year 2004 to 2009 vehicles that require the antenna and rear view camera adapter, but also a quad lock adapter for steering wheel controls to work properly. But this is only needed if you have steering wheel controls on your vehicle. If you Google this, you can find the adapter you're looking for. You will also need a CAN bus gateway upgrade to avoid battery drain. Luckily, these items are fairly inexpensive. The Composition Touch comes in several different variants. The first variant is one of the cheapest, part number 6RD035187. This version has a 5-inch touchscreen, basic AM and FM radio functionality, aux and USB ports, an SD card slot, a microphone, as well as a CD player, exclusively available on this variant. This unit is almost identical to the US spec composition color that we got on Jetta, Tiguan, and Beetle S models from 2016 until their respective next generations or flat-out discontinuation. Unfortunately, you don't get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. However, this version does come with MirrorLink, although very few phones and users use this feature. The 6RD035187A has basically the same functionality as the 187 model, but deletes the CD player in favor of a larger 6.5-inch screen. This version is manufactured by a brand named Dise, which is the version that runs Windows Embedded CE. Due to the lack of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, this is the cheapest version with this size screen. The 6RD035187B adds CarPlay and another mirroring program specific for Chinese market cars, which makes this one extremely desirable. This version is manufactured by DSay once again, thus it runs Windows Embedded CE. You will see in just a second, however, that this isn't the favored model, as these tend to be slightly slower, and they can't be updated to add Android Auto due to the closed operating system. An upside is that these have 1 GB of RAM, however. This version can be identified with the information above, usually displayed on the website. This one has a 10 fuse on the back as opposed to the 15 fuse on the other model. One of the sides is usually black plastic on this model. This version can also be found with green lights to accommodate Škoda models, but if you don't mind the red lights and the Volkswagen logo that shows up, get the Volkswagen version, as it is cheaper from what I've seen. This second version of the 6RD-035-187B is typically referred to as the no-name model due to the manufacturer originally not being known by many, but now we know there are a few. Here are the ones I found. Due to this one running Linux, it can be updated to have Android Auto in place of the Chinese mirroring software. Some versions already have Android Auto installed when you buy them. This version can be identified with the information above, usually displayed on the website. This also has a 15 fuse in the back as opposed to the 10 fuse on the other model. The sides are exposed metal, as opposed to black plastic on this model. This model is also known to come with 512 MB of RAM. Just like the other 187B, a Škoda version is available of this one as well. One version you want to avoid with the same model number is the RCD-330. The reason why is because it's a radio designed for the newer MQB platform vehicles, but cobbled together with the older style faceplate, thus the pins are different on the back. This version is also likely to drain the battery of newer vehicles that wouldn't be prone otherwise. The software version is completely different. This unit is extremely easy to identify, such as the lack of an aux port, and the font isn't factory either. These next few are harder to find. The RAM in these models is either 512 MB or 1 GB, but is currently unknown. The 6RF-035-187C doesn't seem to have any clear advantage over the 187B radio, however, it is made by a company called Visteon. It runs Linux just like the no-name model. This version definitely has CarPlay and Android Auto, no updating needed or required. The 187C is the only model made in India, the rest being made in China. The 6RF-035-187E is essentially a newer version of the 187C with nothing new to bring to the table. The 6RD-035-187F is the same exact situation, being a newer revision of the 187E. All of these are made by Visteon still. These models usually run the most money due to them being the perfect models compared to the rest of the lineup. However, they can be had for under $300 on Aliexpress. I bought a 187F radio for this installation today though, so let's install the radio. Let's begin the installation by pulling out the bottom part of the trim, right by the passenger airbag light on this model. But depending on the model you perform this installation on, you may need to use a trim removal tool and start pulling it back on the side, or top. Now on 2011 to 2014 Jettas, the airbag light is part of the trim. I'm going to choose not to disconnect the light as it could cause issues and it's not going to get in our way. The next steps apply for all vehicles. You need a drill, ratchet, or screwdriver with a Torx T20 bit. There are 4 Torx T20 screws. In this case, I'm going to use a drill. Here is what one of the screws look like. Now let's speed through the rest. Since these are the only screws that we will be removing, let's put them in the cup holder so we don't lose them. Now the old radio should easily slide out, like this. The back side of my unit has a quad lock, a dual antenna, and a satellite radio connector. Some units will have a navigation connector, and some won't have a satellite radio connector. You will want to remove all of the connectors. For the quad lock, press down and pull it back like this, and it will come right out. For the other connectors, just push on this little tab and finagle it out like this. Now you can put the old radio to the side. Now let's bring in the new radio. This radio does not have satellite or digital radio or navigation as I said earlier. However, you can do both of these through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto nowadays. And better too, especially with Google Maps. Connect the dual to single antenna adapter to the dual antenna and then connect it to the radio. At this point you would connect the rear view camera adapter. Since I won't be installing one, there are videos on how to wire up a rear view camera. We will leave the satellite and navigation if you have them just hanging right inside of the radio housing, in which case I have the satellite connector. Nothing will happen to them. Now let's plug back in the quad lock connector. Click it in like this and make sure it's in all the way. You could have issues if it's not connected all the way. Before you put the screws back in, make sure the unit turns on and works. Now let's put the screws back in, and the trim piece can clip right on. Make sure not to break it though. So that's the installation. Let's take a brief look at the features of the Composition Touch. Keep in mind once again this is the 6RF035187F, aka the latest revision as of the making of this video. This unit comes equipped with FM radio. However, you cannot see the station information due to that not really being a thing in the markets this unit was made for. I forgot to film a proper clip of the radio, so I will provide a picture of what it looks like. For media, you can pair many devices at once for Bluetooth audio, but you can only use one at a time. One benefit of Bluetooth on this unit is that now you can press the next button on your steering wheel to change tracks, which wasn't possible with the old stereo. There is also an SD card slot, which can be used to play music as well. This unit also has an auxiliary cable, which is nice if Bluetooth isn't what you prefer. If you want to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, however, you must plug it into USB. But the upside is that your phone does get a nice little charge while you're driving. Access by pressing the app button, Apple CarPlay is very smooth and quick on this unit. If you are upset that you lost satellite or digital radio from upgrading to this unit, no worries, at least in the USA. SiriusXM offers an app for your phone to do this, and it can be used through CarPlay. I personally don't use this or have a subscription, so this didn't bother me. I do not have an Android phone to demonstrate Android Auto, but there are many sources online that demonstrate this, and it appears to work just as well as Apple CarPlay does. For quick access to your phone and making calls using the stereo, there is a quick access phone button. For further configuration of the radio, there is a setup button on the bottom right. This will take you through all of the menus you could need, including volume limits, brightness, sounds, and even system information. The Composition Touch also comes with a couple other nice touches, such as the temperature being displayed in the status bar, as well as a nice analog clock that appears when you turn off the display. With App Connect, more Bluetooth flexibility, and a larger color screen for under $300, it does make for quite a nice package, while also being a super easy install anyone can do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that this video was helpful to you guys as well. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.